Follow me on another recording adventure. We are going back into the rotten pool. We are going back into that huge abandoned swimming pool. This time, we're recording some badass sounding drum samples. Yes, inside that pool. Here we go. So as you might remember, a few months ago, I went to that abandoned swimming pool that had been empty for and unused for about 10 years. A really creepy and very vibey place. I went there to record impulse responses of that amazing sounding reverb, which we later turned, as you might know, into the infamous ROTTEN POOLVERB plugin from Aurora DSP. Link below. I think it's $19 or something. A really vibey sounding, great sounding, very special sounding reverb that I captured in that pool. But I did not stop there. On the same day, I brought some drums and we recorded some kick-ass, badass sounding drum samples in there. Kick, snare, toms, multi-samples, multi-mic'd. It was really cool. We captured the entire process. We turned everything into a really nice road movie. And into a course where I show, the whole process, how I went there, how I mic'd everything, how I tuned the drums, how I captured the IRs, how I captured the samples, later how I processed the samples, and so on. Today we're gonna watch the kick drum part of this, and I hope you will enjoy. Here we go. But before I show you the process of how I recorded and edited and processed these samples, let me show you the final samples. Let me show you the results. I'm pretty sure you want to hear that. I want to make you a little hungry. So what we got here is a drum recording that I recently did. It's all acoustic drums. Just the kick drum is MIDI only. Sounds like this. And the kick drum that we are using right now is one of the Andy Sneap kick drums, Easy Drummer, the old version. And now I'm going to replace the Sneap kick drum with our Rotten Pool kick drums. There are 3 different kick drum sounds that I created from that session. They come as TCI files, so you can load them straight into Trigger. Let me show you this. And yes, they come with the course. If you get the course, you get the samples and the plugin, everything. Anyway, start with the Sneap kick in solo. And there's the pool kick. Back. Pool. All those samples, by the way, have a dangerous low end. Keep that in mind. Anyway, let's have a listen in the mix. Nice. We got 3 faders here. This is close mics, overhead, and the fun part, the room mics. That's the pool. That room just sounds insane. Okay, let's switch to the next preset. This was the so-called big ball scoop kick drum sound. So let's switch from this preset to another one that is called Wide Open, which is more of a rock kick drum. So less muffling, tuned a little higher. Sounds quite different. So this is more of a rock kick. But let's just jump right into the course and have some fun at the pool. Enjoy. Let's talk about the microphones. I'm gonna use
Another heavy metal classic. This is the Audix D6. This will be our main kick drum mic inside of the kick drum. Another microphone inside of the kick drum will be this one. This is the Shure Beta 91 pressure zone microphone. Another classic, gives you a lot of click and usually sounds great blended with a dynamic. For the weight, the body, and the low end, I've added a ribbon mic, a no hype ribbon mic outside of the kick, and I've pulled it away quite a bit. Hopefully that's going to capture a lot of low end. For the overheads, we have the exact same setup like before. So these are the Rupert Neve SE Electronics pencil condensers, and they turned out to sound great for this session. Usually, if I record a full entire drum kit, I go for darker sounding overhead mics, but these ones are quite bright and quite airy sounding, but that turned out to be really cool on the snare. You know, we don't have any cymbals that might sound harsh, but for the snare, it added a really nice snap and clicky attack that I liked. So I'm hoping that they will also sound great on the kick drum. And finally, we got our spaced pair of Austrian Audio OC818 mics that you can see over there. Spaced AB setup, maybe something like, what is this? 7 meters away from the kick drum. They're in Omni, and yeah, so they're gonna give us the actual sound of the room. The only thing I'm not a fan of right now is the overhead setup. And the reason is it sounds a little thin. You've just heard it. But that's a typical overhead problem, overhead kick drum problem. We have already moved them a little further away, but usually when you record drums, you have the overheads here looking down at the kick drum. The problem is the low end mostly goes into this direction and not up, which means if you put the mics up here, it sounds rather thin. And today, we don't have to capture any cymbals, anything else, so we can put our overheads anywhere. So I'm gonna turn them into something I would call underheads. I will try to just lower them and maybe go something like here. Let's see if that makes it better. Let's record another take and compare. Ah, that's a lot more low end now.
I gotta interrupt our little adventure for a moment because I want to show you those different kick drum tuning and muffling settings here in Cubase. These are the recorded files, and I'm just playing two of the microphones right now. So I'm playing the D6 and I'm playing the no hype kick mic. I'm not using the overheads and the room mics for this test because I want you to hear the differences as good as possible. We start with the lower tuning, and as you remember, this is the lowest tuning we can get. Like all the screws are just hand tightened. And this is a good starting point for any typical metal kick drum tone, because as you might remember, we want to stay below a tuning region where we get a real ringing note out of the kick drum, the boom, boom. That's what you want for a cool, whatever, Led Zeppelin rock kind of kick sound, but we want to stay below that. Let's have a listen. This is the lowest possible tuning, and we are using the full muffling. It sounds like this. So that is very short, very controlled, a clear attack, not a lot of low end, very tight. But if we EQ this a little bit, I'm pretty sure we can get a great kick drum sound out of this. Now let's see what happens if we remove the dampening ring from the batter head. So this is with the ring and the red version is without the ring. Let's have a listen. We get a lot more low end by removing the ring. The kick drum even sounds a little deeper. And why is that? We are already using a very, very low tuning. So there's not a lot of resonance in that kick drum tone anyway. And if we are also muffling it, we are not allowing the kick drum to resonate. So by removing the muffling ring, we get more low end because the kick drum can just vibrate and resonate a little more freely. And this stays the same if we move on to the higher tuning. So once again, let's listen to the muffled version, half open and fully open. Let's have a listen. More low end, more low end and longer. So once again, you're controlling two parameters of your kick drum tone with the muffling. It is the bass response and it is the length of your kick drum tone. So this is the first sound I talked about, deep and dry. This is the main microphone, the D6, sounds like this. Let's see what we got here. Typical kick drum EQ. Bypassed. Not too extreme, right? So what we're doing here is we're boosting the main fundamental note of the kick down here. But I'm also reducing the upper bass range around 150, 160 because this removes quite some energy from the mix and just makes it sound a little more metal and a little deeper. So it's more 60 Hertz and less 160. Next band is a pretty high push around 7.5K. For more click. And then I have two bands here. This one is my typical, let's call it honky-tonk reduction band around 460. Remember, 500 is the enemy of anything metal. And then there was another resonance in the kick. Sometimes you have like some kind of gong, gong thing going on in the kick at 400. Let's have a listen. So I added another pretty steep band here. So this EQ is not too extreme, but it makes the kick sound more metal. Before, clock, clock. More low end, more click, less honky mids. All right, now let's add the outer kick mic, the no hype. And now we're doing something paradox. I use good sounding outer kick mics to add a little more low end, but also to bring back some of the mids that I've EQ'd out from the microphone inside the kick drum. It sounds paradox, but it makes sense because like inside of the kick mic can sound a little artificial, a little too basketballish, you know, and then you add this. And focus on how it adds more deep low end, but also some mids, but they sound more natural than the D6. And this is 7 dB more quiet. Let's just boost it for now. You hear what I mean? And now we've got the overheads, some EQ, reducing some of the honky mids as well. And trying to get rid of the the very highs. It can sound a little plastic. This. Nothing too drastic. What I did was I added this Neutron plugin from Isotope, which is basically Transient Designer, which is really good if you want to reduce the sustain. And the problem here was because the room was so big, the overheads already sounded like room mics, like this. So I reduced the sustain to make them sound more like normal overheads. That's all here. And I think there's no processing on the rooms at all. They just sound amazing. So this is our first kick drum sound. I forgot to say it's the low tuning in combination with full dampening. And I just showed you how I process this. Let me interrupt you here. What you've just watched is just a part of a fantastic film, a little road movie that we did, and also a course called the Rotten Pool Sessions. You find the link below. So that is a film that shows the entire process, how we went to that place, how we recorded the impulse responses, how I mic'd the room. I'm also explaining what impulse responses are and how you make them. I'm showing you how to record drum samples, how I tune the drums, how I mic the drums, and even how I process those samples. And to make this even more fantastic, if you get the Rotten Pool Sessions, you can not only watch that entire film, starring me and a few other guys, you will also get the drum samples and the VST plugin for free. Isn't that cool? I think is it $39 or $49? I don't even know. But you get the whole movie, the whole course, which I think is, I don't know how long it is. It's long. And you'll get the VST plugin and you will get the drum samples. Right now it's the kick samples and they sound amazing. You're going to love them. But over time, I will also add the snare drum samples and the tom samples. What a fantastic value, right? So either you get that course called the Rotten Pool Session, link below, or as usual, if you become a member of my academy, KOHLE Audio Cult, you get everything. Everything. You get all our courses and the plugin and the samples, everything. Too good to be true, right? So check out the options below. Either get the Rotten Pool Sessions or get the membership inside KOHLE Audio Cult. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed our little adventure. For me, it was so much fun and so special. Yeah, and I'm still looking for other cool places that I can capture. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I see you in hell, my friends, dear motherfuckers. Bye-bye.